We're with Scott Benbow, the leader of Football Fun Factory in England. As you know, I send my guests a bunch of prepared questions, but after talking to Scott, now it'd be off camera, we're going in a whole new direction. This is something I've wanted to talk to coaches about for years. Scott, you don't lead from in front. You set the pace, you set the tone, and let the children own the journey. Please explain to my viewers, because I promise you they're loving your answer before they even know what it is, because this is how we reach children.
Yeah, well, we would have had a good answer originally, but my sound messed up, so we'll go again. So basically, we talked about fun, didn't we, off camera, and why we thought it was important. And for me, and being part of the Football Fun Factory, and like you said, I'm a franchisee, so there's opportunities other coaches if they ever want to get involved. But fun is a big part of it. And I fell out of love with coaching about 10 years ago when I left the US and I came back to the UK and fell out of love with it. And I followed the guys who started the Football Fun Factory, and I thought, you know what? I buy into that. I like the sound of that. So my whole philosophy that we just talked about was that two things. One, I believe in coach the child, not coach the session. And I also believe in making sure that the child builds the session. So we talked about fun, and for me, what fun is a child that's engaged, a child that's bought into it, a child that's having fun, that's loving being there, that's laughing and joking. And when we ask them to do something, they're applying themselves as hard as they can, and they're going for it to the, you know, you've got those little red faces running around and they're all exhausted and go and get a drink from mum and dad and then come back. And, you know, you're expecting as a coach, oh, I'm going to get 5 minutes for a break here. And before you know it, they've sprinted off, they've had a drink, they've sprinted back, they're sat down. What's next? And I'd never experienced that before. And I thought, hold on a second. So I said, Chill, why don't you just go and relax for a minute and then come? No, straight back. And so I started thinking, well, I must be doing something right if that's what we're doing. And I'll go through the scenario we talked about off camera.
Please.
That when I coach children, even into teens, which I don't do as much now because I mainly go up to 12-year-old, but I will do the same activity or the same session. I will just change the story that goes with that activity or that session. Because what I found is things we think are fun and activities and games that children seem to think are fun at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've even seen adults having fun with the same game. And a real simple one is tag, right? You bring out tag for the 4 and 5-year-olds. So I'll say, right, we're going to have a game of banana tag. So if you don't know what that is, basically, if you get tagged, you put your hands above your head and someone comes and peels you and you escape and off you go again. So I said, well, while we're waiting for people to arrive, instead of just standing around, let's have a game of banana tag. And they all go wild, right? And then the next children, as they're arriving, they all come running on and they want to get involved. And I've found that children start arriving earlier or pestering their parents to arrive earlier because they don't want to miss the start of tag. Which means my games, if I start on the hour, my games of tags usually start 5 or 10 minutes before the hour, which, you know, and then any parents that rock up with their children a little bit later, you can see it on their faces that they're like, oh no, my child's going to be telling me off. So we start out with that. But the example I gave was with my top session, so our 2 to 4-year-olds, we were doing like kicking the ball round and running round, and I brought Sonic into it. Now, I hadn't planned on using Sonic, but one of the children's parents was stood there with a big plush toy of Sonic. And I just thought, okay, this might work. So I asked to borrow Sonic. I asked the child, look, could I borrow Sonic? Because he called me last night and told me the game he wanted you all to play. So this child's beaming, going, wow, that's fantastic. They actually started out with, I didn't know Sonic called you. And I went, oh, yeah, he must have been in bed. So I got around that one. But then, so I had this plush, 1 foot tall Sonic toy, and I had a size 2 football, and me holding Sonic's hands. we have an inflatable football pitch that we do these activities in. So me holding Sonic hands, I've got the children, they sat down in our little listening circle, and I'm running around with Sonic's hands, and Sonic's little feet are kicking this little ball. And the children are absolutely loving it. I even hear the parents laughing in the background. So we're going round, and then we came back down, and I stopped. It actually worked. Sonic foot on the ball, actually stopped the ball just in front of the children, like I'd planned it. And then I sat Sonic on top of the ball, because that's what the children do. You know, they were all sat on the ball at that moment. And so I said, oh, look, Sonic's copying you lot, so you must be doing something good. And they're like, that was it. They loved sitting on the ball. They do it all the time now. And I said, did you see what Sonic did? They're like, yeah, yeah. I said, well, tell me, what did you see? So they explained what they saw. Yeah, Sonic kicking the ball, going around. Yes. And I said to them, I said, but did you know that Sonic, when he learned to do this, he never used the ball? And then they all start leaning in. I said, let me tell you the story. Has anyone seen Sonic? Yeah. Have you ever seen Sonic with we call it football or soccer ball? And I said, no. I said, no, you won't have seen it because he's just started like you. He started not very long ago. I said, did he look very good? Like, yeah, he was good. I was like, yeah, because he practices. But he didn't used to start with the ball. What he used to do, he used to practice his running. That's why he's so fast. And he used to run around, but he used to use his eyes so he didn't bump into anyone. And they're like, oh, right. And I said, well, do you think you could maybe do that? And they're like, oh, yeah. So I said, well, hands up if you're faster than Sonic. And they're all going, oh, yeah, me. And I said, right, before we start this, we're going to have to test this. So everyone put your balls in the goal. So they roll the balls in the inflatable goal. And I get them to line up on one side of the pitch. And I stand there with Sonic. And I said, all we're going to do, I'm going to count 3, 2, 1. And we're all going to run and touch the other side of the pitch and see if we can do it before Sonic. So we know if we're faster, right? So that was it. There's me bent over, holding Sonic by his hands, giving him the little jiggle so his legs walk. And I went 3, 2, 1, go. And we all ran across. And then I made sure everyone touched the side before Sonic got there. And I was like, oh my goodness, you are so much faster than Sonic. So then I was like, Sonic was crying, so he had his hands over his eyes. And I said, oh, Sonic's upset because you're faster. They're all laughing their heads off. So I said, well, I tell you what, if you go and sit in the circle again, I'm going to give Sonic it was Jacob's mum, so I hand Sonic over. And I said, Sonic's just going to be crying up there for a little bit, but he's going to watch what you're doing. So now we know you're faster than Sonic, but that's in a straight line. What about if we go all around and zigzag and run in circles? Do you think you could do that? And they're like, oh, yeah. So there we go. 3, 2, 1, off you go. And they're all running round and in and out of each other and trying not to touch the sides. And, they're all going crazy, absolutely loving it. And like, I'll be clapping and I'll pretend to chase and we'll be going around like that. And then I'll blow the whistle. And we worked on this for a few weeks, but when I blow the whistle, they all freeze, statues still, like statues. So even when they're running like Sonic, they still stop like statues, which was brilliant. And then I said, they started out and the usual, they go in the circle all in the same direction. So then I was like, right, now I'm going to ask Sonic this. So I went over, I said, Sonic, what did you see? And he talked to me. I said, Sonic said he just saw people running in circles. So I said, how could we change that maybe? And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to run this way. And so I was like, well, I'm going to run this way. And I was like, all right, let's see if we can go every way. And then we go again. And then most of them in circles, but 2 or 3 of them start deviating and going different ways and running through trap and all of that. And then someone else sees that and goes, well, I'm going to go a different way then, like the sheep. But then all of a sudden they start scattering. So we got through that, and Sonic congratulated them because they were going everywhere, and they looked like a bunch of buzzy bees running around. So then we tried it with the ball, and we said, right, could you do this, but with a ball, like Sonic's learning to do? And oh, yeah. So then we give the 2, 3, 4-year-olds the little ball and go. And they all start kicking, and you've got some children that smash it the length of the pitch and then run after it. You've got other children that go a little bit slower and keep the ball close, but are like weaving in and out. You've got a wide variety. And so they were all having a great time with it. And So we play that game. But like I said to you before, is if I was going with 12, 13, 14-year-olds that are kind of out of the Sonic phase, we start looking at footballers. And the one I mentioned to you was Thierry Henry. That's the one that sticks out. When I said, who was a fast or is a really fast footballer? And someone, an Arsenal fan, had said, oh, Thierry Henry. I'm like, okay. And then someone else shouted out someone else. It's usually Thierry Henry or Ronaldo are usually the two. We have a lot of United and Arsenal fans. And so I get them to do a similar thing. We'll have a bit of fun with it. Running around, changing direction without the ball. Right? Can you do it without the ball? I can see you can do it without the ball. I don't need to tell you anything or give you any pointers or anything. I know you can do it. Now can we do it with the ball? And off we go with the ball. And same kind of thing. In, out, all around, using their skills, trying not to bump. And then as they get a bit older and they've got better ball control, I'll throw in a few challenges. So we might throw down a few cones, get them to choose what defender the cone's going to be, and we'll say, right, go on, take them on. But I don't tell them what to do or how to do it. I just say, there's a cone. It's that's this one's Jaap Stam, this one's Rio Ferdinand, this one's someone else, this one's someone else. Go and do what you do. So you've got all these children running around, dribbling the ball, coming up to different cones and doing what they do. And what I've done from there is, if they've got good at that, then we'll say, okay, so Rio Ferdinand, what was really good about him as a defender? And they might be, well, he was really good at tackling. We'll go, okay, so if someone's good at tackling, what could we do to stop them getting the ball? And they might go, well, give him a wide berth. So that's what they do with that cone. And then another one was really fast. So what are you going to do there? Well, we're going to knock it and we're going to go as fast as we can. All right. So then what you would see is when they get to these different cones, if they remembered, they would do a different move or skill or whatever. We'll just encourage them to go with it. But my aim was they're engaged, they're having fun, they're loving it, they're touching the ball all the time, they're making decisions for themselves, they're choosing whatever challenges we're throwing in without even realizing it. If they get stuck, I will ask them, I've got a suggestion, would you like to hear it? Because one thing I've learned is, if they say yes and give me permission, I know that they're listening. But I don't see that very often from coaches. It's normally, right, stop, stand still, I'm going to tell you this. And I'm like, for my teacher training and background is, I wouldn't do that in a classroom. The people are not bothered. I say, look, I've got a suggestion. Who would like to hear it? And then they look at you. Right, now I'm going to tell you. So it's, yeah. And yeah, the football fun factor, it's a different kettle of fish, as we might say. It's, with it being safety and fun based, not having any teams, not having to worry about winning or losing or game time or whatever, everyone gets the opportunity to have 100% ball time. So if they come for an hour, 100% ball time for an hour, off we go.
All right. For my regular viewers, did you see how much Scott was smiling as he was recounting this? Now, you think when you're coaching, when you're going to these games, this nonstop instruction, the nonstop correction, and the difference, who do you want your child to be around? That environment or the environment Scott's presenting to you? This is huge. Now, let me ask you this, Scott. What is the difference between, you said you got a little disillusion when we were off camera in the United States. What were you seeing in the United States that really was impeding the development that you so easily do by embracing the value of fun?
It was time. Everything was, we want it now, we need it now. Also, I've come to realize over time is that my focus is on the children, not the winning. And that's what I try and instill. When I do a bit of coach education, that's what I'm trying to instill is, we talk about player-centric, we talk about player development, and we talk about all of that stuff, right? And yet, when we train to win. When we're playing, obviously as a player, we want to go out there and we want to win, right? It's nice to win. It feels great to win. But are we giving a message that we're playing to win, or are we playing for fun? And hopefully all the hard work and the practice and the teamwork and the collaboration all comes together, and the universe says to us, today's your day, and guess what? It all works out, and you get a bit of luck and you win the game. Right? And at the end of it, you can walk off and you can talk to every child and say, right, so we know your aim today was to try to dribble a little bit more and get more comfortable. How do you think you did? And they'll tell you, and you go, how do you think that contributed to us winning the game? So yes, winning comes up. Losing would be treated the same way. You know, you wanted to practice your dribbling. I saw you dribbling. How did you feel about it? They'll tell you. How do you think that contributed to the result today? And sometimes the result's a fluke, right? Someone has a shot, it bounces off someone's back, and you win 1-0. You could have hardly touched the ball for the rest of the game. But it was such a relentless focus on win, 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 win. And how would I put it? The dream that is drilled into parents that if your child is not on a team that's got elite in the name, and they haven't got a chance of playing at a higher level, you haven't got a chance of playing at college or we would say university, you haven't got a chance of playing professional or semi-professional, you need to be playing with these elite teams. And when I was out there coaching, it was mainly regional, but now I see they have leagues where you could be traveling, you know, around the country to play these games. So you're going to get on a plane, or you're going to do a long drive, you're going to turn up somewhere, you're still going to play your hour or your 90-minute match that you would play, whatever ages we're working with and how you're doing it. Yes, you're probably going to play against some good players. Then you're going to do all that traveling, all that back again. Now, I'm sure that the level of players you played against can be found close to home. You can't tell me in Florida, where I worked, that I have to travel to Georgia, to Alabama, to Tennessee to play a team that is elite. I mean, I was lucky enough to go to Disney and be around that area, so whenever there were tournaments, I could go and watch. And some of them I'm watching and I'm like, oh yeah, look, there's some local teams have come to play here, right? Oh no, this is an elite team from Colorado, and this isn't what? They're no better than my local team on the coast that play in regularly, and we travel an hour and a bit to play them. But then what we do is we travel an hour and a bit, we play our match, we travel an hour and a bit home, and then the child gets to be a child for the rest of that day. Then they're not. So do we have to travel all those distances? Are you saying that, okay, if you play professional and you play for Miami, and Miami are going to go and play up in Chicago because those teams have brought in supposedly the elite players that they can get hold of for that league. But when it comes to children where you have to pay to play, I don't think it's the same. I always wonder that when I was over there, I was always fascinated with basketball and how some of the best basketball players came off the courts of inner city, where they would go out with their friends and you'd play, right? And sometimes there's no bigger pressure than bragging rights. And if you're all there playing 3v3 night after night for hours upon end for bragging rights, you're all going to get better and better and better. And then you get picked up and you go and play and you learn more of the formal rules and everything. And off you go. And to me, it seems the same as a lot of Brazilians we hear they grow up in the favelas. And they're playing day in, day out. And I've read stories about, yeah, like the drug lords put money on the game, so you better win the game, otherwise you're in trouble, you know. They all develop those skills. Yeah, we want to get children at a young age, put them into something really structured, charge them a load of money to come and do it, and they never seem to last. never seem to make that journey. When things seem to get hard, they don't seem to have that extra resilience to push on. And as we know, not a high percentage make it for whatever the reasons are. But if, I can't remember the exact amount, but I'm guessing it's just less than 99% don't make it. So we've got thousands of children participating in soccer each week, and only a minimal amount are going to take that forward to play at the highest levels, maybe even make a living out of it. What are we doing with the rest of them? I mean, no football tactics are going to help you in the business world. You know what I mean? So when I focus on the child is, what can I give you that you can use for the rest of your life? If you choose to stay in football or soccer and you're able to stay in it and you're able to make a living from it, what can I give you that's going to take you through those toughest times? What can I give a child that if they become a manager in a company, that they're going to be the best manager they can possibly be, and make that environment for the workforce under them? I can help you with resilience. If I see you once a week for 2, 3, 4 years and I challenge you and I put you in an environment where it's safe and you don't exactly feel comfortable, but you feel safe in that environment, I can now challenge you. And if you mess up and I show you, you know what, messing up is fine. I am here behind you. I want you to try and solve it, but if you can't, I'm here with suggestions. And then what I want to do is I want to display those behaviors consistently, but to the whole group. And then what I want to do is bring in the whole group. Little Johnny's having a problem with this. Now, I've seen some of you are quite good at this skill. Could you help him out? And I've seen children 5, 6, 7 years old go and stand next to this other child and help them out. I've seen them run alongside them to help them out. Now, at no point are they battling each other to play on my team. At no point have they got the fear that they might get dropped if they're not good enough. What they've got is a fun and safe environment where they can help each other. And I'm not going to go into detail with it because I'm just trying to get my head around it now and learn it, but it's the neurochemicals. I'm fascinated in that right now. Oxytocin and the rest of them, right? So I won't get the names right, so I'm not going to go into it in detail, but you've got the chemicals there for bonding. So by doing a certain kind of act, you release the chemical in both people. There's a bit of a bond. If we reduce, I can't remember whichever the one is, the stress hormones. If we reduce them and we increase the rest, guess what? People start bonding. People become more confident. People are happier to do it. So they're getting all these oxytocin or serotonin hits. You've done something, you've enjoyed it, you've got better at it. We've clapped you, you've clapped yourself, someone else has clapped you, everyone's doing really well. And it doesn't matter whether you've got the best first touch in the group, whether you've scored the most goals or whatever you've done, everyone's on their own journey. So if I coach the child and not the session, I know that little Jimmy only started 2 weeks ago and he's a little bit nervous at first. Well, if the best player or the perceived best players come up and offer him support early on, guess what? Little Johnny's not scared anymore because he's looked at them and gone, oh, they look like the best to me. Oh, they want to help me. Okay. And then I'll say it when they've done it for a while and someone new comes along. Remember when you first started? You're, oh, yeah. And we'll talk about feelings. And then we'll go, well, what could you maybe do now to stop that child? And there you go. They'll go, they'll talk, they'll do all different things. But if we can do that with 4, 5, 6-year-olds, imagine if you do that for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, then they become teenagers, and that's part of how they do things. And then they continue that, and then they get into the workforce, and there you go. That is my aim, is if we can put people into the workforce, reduce their stress, give them a better life, if they become managers, help them reduce other people's stress, then there we go. And that all came from when I used to do leadership and management training. Was one of the big things that always came out was people don't seem to leave businesses or jobs, they leave their managers. And I always wondered why are people so bad at being managers? Because the way you behave at work, you don't behave like that at home. So what is it? And then what we try and do when we do leadership training is we try and fix those problems right there, where no, it's deeper than that. It's behaviors, it's beliefs. Well, maybe if we went back to children, and if we change those behaviors and beliefs early on so they could grow with them, we don't have to do as much. We support more. So that is, yeah, that's my roundabout way of coaching children.
Well, like you're talking about the amygdala, the hippocampus. When you start talking about all the firing of the synapses, you're right. And that we talk about it all the time. I'm going to send you my third book. Does your mind what you're doing to your body? I might have already sent it to you, but if I didn't, I'll check and see. Well, I shouldn't say Molly. We'll send it to you. All right. What Scott just explained to you is that in the brain, there's a real science. And what we say at Balanced Excellence at Frozen Shorts is we use science instead of tradition. We use psychology instead of power or force, and we use data instead of hunches. So what Scott is doing is he's taking what the brain does naturally. And people need to know that the brain is 6 times more likely to be negative. It's a very unknown part of the brain, and it's only because of the firing, and we're talking about milliseconds, of the firing of the synapses between the corpus callosums. So what Scott is doing is actually taking, there's a thing called the hippocampus and the amygdala and a little bit of the prefrontal cortex, but what he's doing is literally massaging that. And what I say that for is because even though the brain is not a muscle, it acts like one. So what Scott is saying is to get the base set, and then therefore when all the stress and everything comes, they have a base from which to react to it instead of seeing it from fear. All right, Scott, this has been fantastic. We're going to do if you want to, we're going to do this again because I got a whole different series of questions to probe you, to hopefully send you to if you want to send you into a more deep direction. But in finality, when these kids, and again, I'm comparing the United States, and we're not trying to pick on anybody here. We're trying to help the children. That's the only goal. But what we're trying to do is, Scott, the difference then, because 70% of the kids quit by the time they're 13, 99% never make money. The parents will always pay more money for their children to play than they'll ever get back, 99%. But the difference that you're seeing in the children, and it's a 2-part question. One is the play is more free. If you could explain free to it and creative to our viewers. And then the second part is there isn't the huge highs and lows of depression and winning, because truly nobody knows how to win. But the first part, talk about how your way allows the children, the Fun Factory way, to be more creative and encourages it.
Yeah, James and Johnny, who started the Football Fun Factory, it was that basically. Was they both worked in the academy system. They saw the ups and downs, and James thought there's got to be a better, more fun way to keep them involved in it, right? So that they built that whole ethos. I bought into that, but I brought to that my belief system that aligns with theirs, but is done probably from a slightly different way to most people. And it's, if I focus on that child, if I remove as much fear as possible, maybe not remove, because I think we always have fear with us, right? But if I can get them to understand it and understand how it feels, and to maybe manage it or process it a little better, then they're more free. And a great way to do that is, it's hard to be stressed if you're smiling. So if they come in and they're having a great time, right, then they're going to just approach stuff. And if I don't get in the way of them smiling, if I can enhance that rather than get in the way of that, then they're going to keep going and they're going to keep pushing themselves to the point where they get to a point where whatever they're trying to do becomes difficult. And then we know, right, you've reached your ability at the moment. And I know a lot of children that you watch them play and they run around and you think there must be a little bit more there. So, but the first thing I have to do, rather than try and push them, is I have to free them up. I have to try and understand them. I have to let them know I'm here for you. We're here to have fun. If you mess up, it doesn't matter. And you know what? I'll intentionally fall over a ball or cone or something that makes them laugh. And I'll play around with it. Who put that there? And I'm like, is that you following me? And, right? But they relax. They see that I want to have a bit with it. Or like sometimes when I shoot, I'll miss by miles, and that is not intentional. That is just me shooting, right? But then I'll have a laugh and a joke about it. Or I'll be running around asking the parents, did you see where that ball went? And they're like, oh yeah, over the fence. But the kids have a laugh with it. So when the kids miss, when the children miss, I've seen some children miss and be absolutely devastated. So they play club football, they've come to join us for a bit of extra practice, and they're absolutely devastated. And I'll say, what's wrong? They go, oh, I missed. And I said, but have you seen how far that ball's gone? And they go, yeah. And I'm, well, you must have kicked it pretty hard, so you've got some good technique. And they're like, oh, yeah, I kicked it hard. All we have to do is try and get it between those sticks. That's all. And I said, but now what you got to do, because you missed, you got to go get it. And then they'll run off, and we might count and see how fast they can collect the ball and bring it back. But 3, 4, 5 times of shooting, they start to relax a little bit. They start to enjoy it. But the same thing happens when they score and they go berserk because they've scored a goal. I will keep it fairly level to let them know that, yes, scoring goal is good, but it's not the be-all and end-all. And I get children who are amused because they've scored a goal. They've run right in front of every other child to let them know they've scored a goal. And we've said, well done, right, your goal. And they can't believe that we haven't stopped to focus on them. And I say, come on, come back, it's your go again. And then they'll score again. But they start to learn whether you miss or whether you score, we're going to find a way to celebrate something about you. Yeah, and so I want them to start being more comfortable, right? Because if I can alleviate the fear, then you become more comfortable. If you become more comfortable, you'll push yourself, you'll challenge yourself, you know you're supported. I'll try and work with parents on it, because what I want to do is, yeah, they're in my environment for an hour and a little bit if they arrive early, but then they go home. Can I extend that environment to the home? So I'll talk with parents and I'll help parents and I'll say to them, this is how I've done this. This is how I've approached that. Because they always seem baffled how their child who's always shy has joined in your session in 5 minutes. And I said, did you see what I did? No. I said, do you notice how straight away I came up and I offered to give them a high five? I said hi, I told them my name, a fist bump, whatever, and they completely flat out refused. And what did I say? You tried to push them in. I said, that's okay. I'll be back in 5 minutes for another one. So they watched me for 5 minutes because they know I'm coming back. And they've watched to see how I behave, how I interact with other people, what I do. And I go back, but when I go back, I take a ball with me. And I'll say, you know what? I don't want to high five you this time, but could you just hold that for me? And then they hold this ball. And then look around a minute or two later, they're kicking the ball with dad because they've seen everyone else kicking, right? They want to get involved. So now I've got them. So then I'll go back and say, you want to come? Oh, yeah, I'll come. Some are like, oh, no. I said, what about if I hold your hand and we can run around together? Yep, we'll do that, right? And then in about a minute, 2 minutes, they've got rid of me. So then I pretend I'm all sad because they don't need me anymore, and they think that's hilarious. Now, hold on a second. I was having so much fun running around with you, and now you want to go and do it by yourself? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to run off back. Okay, then. Watch out, I might hunt you down and get that ball back later, right? So they're running around, they'll slow down, I pretend I'm going to get them, and then they're off again. So, but I'd say to the parent, I've intentionally done every step there. I said, but you never even noticed it because it was so fluid. And I said that as a compliment, that I've worked that hard at doing it, that you don't even know what I'm doing, and the child doesn't even know what I'm doing. And they're just like, right, can you help me with that? I'm like, yeah. I said, first thing is when they get scared, make sure they stand in front of you, not behind you. They've already got a mental barrier to what's in front of them. Don't give them a physical one as well, because then you're just empowering that mental one. So I say, just stand them in front of you, you crouch down if you want, get in their ear behind them and just talk about all the fun, safe stuff that's going on and see what happens. and their fear slowly melts away, and then the excitement takes over and they want to get involved now. So that's what I'm constantly talking to parents. Don't try and push them. If you push them, they will fight back. Children love that, you know. If you allow them
to the choir,
if you allow them to make the choice, if you allow them to let you know, yeah, I'm a little bit scared, but I'm going to try it, and then we let them know, you know, we're right behind you. I mean, we started this. My wife helped me when we started this, because we had a 3-year-old that loved kicking the ball, and there wasn't anything local for him to do. So that was one of the reasons we got into it. Now he just wants to play cricket. He doesn't even want to play football. It took him 3 months to get involved in a full session. And granted, he would come to 3 or 4 of my sessions a week. It took him about 3 months to fully get involved in it. So when I talked to him, I said, I feel your pain. Yeah, I'm running this football set. My child doesn't even want to come and do it. I said, so it's that nurturing, it's that, but you've got to focus on the child. The moment you stop focusing on the child and you start focusing on winning, or even start focusing on the player, you behave differently, you think differently. And I have this conversation regularly at the moment with other coaches, because they go, oh yeah, we do player development. I said, well, what about the child? I said, well, what about the child? I said, the player, so you go, right, there's my player, right back. Okay, well, what does a right back need? Well, they need to be able to do this, they need to be quite fast, they need to, right, okay. Does the child need that? Does the child need to be showing them outside? Does the child need to be really fast? Does the child need that? And they go, no, not really. I said, okay, so why don't we focus on the child, give them what they need so they feel comfortable, they feel happy. And then when we suggest that if you're defending in that position, when you get the ball, if you take it that way, it's going to put you in a better place. Guess what? They're going to try that. And if they mess up, they're going to know how to go and try it again, because we've worked on them as a child to build those skills, the resilience, the mindset, you know, the growth mindset to just keep going. The player will come along. And I've seen the player comes along rapidly if you're focused on the child. So I am considering at the moment doing like a coach's survival guide, so I can get it down either in video format or written format or whatever, just to give little tips like this to help parent coaches to focus on the child before the player, because I feel so bad for them. You've got these parents with the best intentions that give up so much time. And I know how much time they give up, because my dad did it when I was young. He started our local youth club to go alongside the adult team. I saw how much time and effort he put in. And you get these parents that put in that much time, but the coaching courses, they're level 1 over here, level 2, they're nothing great. It's a little technical, tactical. When do you step in? When don't you step in? Well, it's not. Well, how do we help a child? How do we figure out who do I want to be as a coach? You know, I've spent the last year just looking at me saying, who do I want to be? Who do I want to be seen as? Who do I want to be remembered as? How do I want to come across? What is it I'm trying to do? I've been asking myself those questions. I've been talking to lots of different people, putting forward what I'm thinking, and then I get a challenge back and I sit there and I think a bit more, oh, okay, maybe if I tweak it this way to get to where I am now. My true belief now is focus on that child. Whether you're competitive or not, it doesn't matter. Focus on the child, the player will develop, and as the player develops, the team will develop, and as the team develops, you have a much higher chance of winning. But it's not instant. It's not going to be quick. It might take 3, 4, 5 seasons to be like one of the dominant teams. But if you go out there and everything is about, you have to win that, right? And you will have seen it being out in America right now, is when things are going well, we give them a bit of time to play, everyone's treated well. As soon as that game gets a bit tighter towards the end, the behaviours from the coach and the parents start to change. If we, God forbid, start losing a game, players are getting yanked off left, right and centre if they're not having the best game. Or the child that's been coming along to every practice session isn't quite as good as everyone else, now doesn't get to go on the field because it's too close and we might lose. Well, how's that helping a child to grow? And it's not only the coach though, it's parent responsibility. How as a parent are you choosing where to put your child? How do you choose the coach? How do you choose the club? I also want to help parents do that, because I think if parents vote with their feet, if they select in clubs and teams that are going to help their child to develop, rather than who they think will get them into a college team or whatever it may be, I think you'll start to see teams and clubs and coaches change their approach slightly.
Scott, this has been fantastic. Thank you. If you need any help in that, the thing you're trying to put together, please let me know. If I even send you all 3 books, Molly is going to send them to you within 24 hours. Thank you so much. Enlightened. Again, nobody knows how to win. Scott's talking about the journey. We talk about that all the time. Nobody really truly understands childhood development unless they have training. Scott is doing that. My congratulations. I'd like to talk to the two guys that started Football Fun Factory too. The next time you talk to them, if you'd ask them, we'd like them to be on the show. And Scott, we want to have you back again.
Oh, I'd love to. Great talking. And I will definitely be in touch with you to learn more about the brain, because I need to fully understand it so that I am able to tweak what I'm doing, because rather than work against it, let's work with nature and make it work. But no, I mean, this has been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to doing it again, definitely.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.